This is ESBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined by Paul Kelly. We have just seen Florian MARKU destroy Dylan Moran, to be fair, inside a minute on the undercard of Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. 2 in Manchester. Paul, not much to dissect there, was over very quickly. Florian Marku went in there he did go in there as the favourite. We've seen in other fights he can punch, but he's kind of not been knocking too many guys out in his recent fights. But yeah, tonight looked pretty spiteful, hurt Dylan Moran, and Finn looked, to be fair, finished that very impressively. What were your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, mate, didn't expect to be chatting to you this soon, but yeah, all you can say is fair play. He hurt his opponent and finished it in style. Really, you look at that, the first shot that kind of landed. Obviously, they were both southpaws. It was the backhand left. I think Moran threw a jab, his right-handed jab out, and um, Marku countered him perfectly with an overhand left and landed right in the bottom and kind of wobbled Moran back to the ropes. And then after that, it was just an onslaught, really. And he was definitely hurt Moran. I think, yeah, it's an emphatic finish. Sit here and say I'm not going to sit here and say that I expected that to happen, because I am probably one of few people that I thought this was a very competitive fight and was seeing it as a bit of a 50-50, to be honest with you. So I'm a wee bit surprised at that. And fair play. Yeah, I think that it was an exceptional finish by Markley, so all credit to him.
Yeah, look, you can't help but be impressed. You can't really take anything away from Marku. Um, One thing I would say is that leading into this fight, a lot of us here at ESPR said we didn't really know a lot about Dylan Moran. A lot of his fights, it was hard to get hold of. He's fought all over Europe, so it was hard to gauge how good this guy is. And I feel like we still don't know because the fight's lasted a minute.
Yeah.
However, look, that was the fight Florian Marcus had, and we'll see what he does next. This was him with a year outside the ring as well. You've got to remember that. Um, is it how seriously are you taking this guy now, Paul? Are you like, is this someone who can mount a challenge at world level? Is this someone who, like, do you think he's going to go down a European title path? I think it's unclear what his route is, if I'm honest with you. I don't. I feel like Chris Congo is a fight that could possibly happen next. I know Florian Murphy's manager Shane Watson has kind of written off that fight in the last couple of weeks, but I think that is still a possibility. What do you think hold? What does the future hold for Florian Marku in his next couple of fights? Do you think?
Yeah, well, that's the question, really, isn't it? Myself and Elliot Grigg were on before previewing this fight, and one of the things we were just kind of touching on was how far we thought Florian Marku could go, or what level he could reach. And I'm still of the opinion I don't think he's a world level fighter. It's hard to really dissect it and analyze off, a fight that lasted less than 90 seconds. Obviously, you can't flaw anything that he did. He threw a lovely counter left hand over the top, which landed on the button. So his timing was clearly there, despite being out of the ring and stuff. So I think it's very difficult to tell. There's still British level fighters, I think, are there that would beat Florian Marku. But then again, we won't know that until those fights happen. I think that Chris Congo fight it's a great fight. I'd love to see that. And that's a name that you mentioned. I would love to see that fight. It's definitely one that appeals to me. I don't think he can reach world level. European, I have my doubts, but I suppose it remains to be seen, and I can be proved wrong, as I was tonight on in that fight, because I was, as I said at the top of the video, I was kind of edging towards a Moran victory there, to be honest with you. But no, I think that he clearly is spiteful puncher. You can't take that away from him. He's clearly got a lot of punching power, and he's got a decent bit of ability there. The jury's still out for me as to whether he can reach world level, though. In short, and European level, I'm kind of 50-50 about it.
Yeah, we'll see. I think, look, this guy can clearly punch, and he can. If you trade, I think it depends how you approach your fight with him. I just think that, yeah, like, you do have to give him some credit. I just think that there's a certain style. I think I just think this guy can be outboxed. I think there's a certain style that can beat him. But if you're going to stand there and trade with him, or get caught by him, he can punch, so you can be in trouble. So we'll
So that was
see.
my thinking there. Sorry to interrupt, Elliot. That was my thinking there with Moran. I thought
Yeah,
two southpaws, so it's kind of cancelling each other out. And Moran, kind of with the Irish amateur background and everything, like a lot of people were saying. I think even Andy Scott in commentary, Andy Clark in commentary said it before as the first bell went. Moran's more of the boxer, Marku's more of the puncher and the brawler and the fighter. And I thought that was the case as well. And I thought Moran could have outboxed him, but thing is, Markey didn't even let him give him the chance to do that. So credit to him in that sense. But I do agree with what you're saying there. I think that they'll come a fighter, whether it's Chris Congo or not. That's a good fighter to mention. I think Chris Congo could outbox Florian Marku if those two were to fight. So it'll be interesting. Definitely, it's definitely a career that's worth keeping an eye on. Put it that way.
yeah, no, definitely. Look, I've seen Marky fight a couple of times. I saw him fight at York Hall quite a long time ago. Saw him fight Chris Jenkins. There's something about him, and someone who managed. I think he's someone who has a large fan base, and he is willing to fight. He is willing to fight. He is willing to fight anyone. You don't have that. You can't say that with all fighters who sell a lot of tickets. A lot of times they're protected. Whereas I feel like Marku, actually, I'm not saying he's kind of calling out everyone under the sun, but he's gone in. He has got, in my opinion, he has gone in there with decent fighters now. And you got to remember, he's not had a lot of fights. He's not that experienced himself. I think now it's just a case of how fast he's going to be pushed, and it's going to be interesting. I hope now that he's had a year out the ring and his fight has lasted a minute or so. I hope we see him again. We should really be seeing him again November, I would say, maybe December at the latest. We shouldn't be seeing him again in March, April time next year. We should be,
100%.
really like we should be seeing this guy again out in the next 2-3 months. So we will see. We'll leave it there, Paul. Again, look, not much to dissect from the fight. Really didn't last a long time, but we will see what's next in the career of Florian Marku. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, mate. Enjoyed that. All the best.